Hi guys, good to see you again. So, I had my first video that I uploaded recently, and I was so excited to get the response from people. It really opened up some great dialogue with some of the people that I work with and also some of my friends, and it was really encouraging. So, I got like 400 views, which is nothing in the whole internet world, but I think that it was just a really cool thing to see the response, so I really appreciate that. And like I said, if it just affects or helps someone, you know, for a moment in time or affects their day, which is some of the things that I got back, like it's all worth it, and it's like worth me taking that time to like just express how I feel. And so today is just like there's a lot of things that are going through my mind, and I'm super inspired by like my day and like what I've gone through. So I was excited to actually come home and just like have the opportunity, and I feel like it's really cool that I have like I had a great day and I can like talk about it, and like this is a great way to kind of express that. But so there's like two things that are running through my mind, and I guess that's a trend. Is like there'll be two topics that I talk about, but the first is scarcity. So a lot of us like function on like, oh my gosh, like nothing is enough, and like, oh my gosh, like I'm not getting the recognition I deserve, I'm not happy enough, like I don't have any friends, and it's like weird things that we all like make up in our brain. And I learned that that most of the thoughts in our brain are like repetitive and untrue and redundant, and it allows us to like get into these spirals. And I think the way to get out of that is to remain present in the moment and really like engaging in what you're doing and not being consumed by your thoughts. And so when I had that like revelation that like your thoughts are an extension of like your being, and you have to observe them and not necessarily partake, was a huge thing, because what I learned was that like you're not your thoughts. So that goes all back to saying is that we are conditioned to think that nothing's ever enough, and I'm like one of those people. Like people might laugh at me when I say like I feel like I haven't done enough, and like I feel like I'm doing nothing with my life, but I think those are still like insecurities that I deal with, and it's hard for me to process. But something that really helped me when it comes from that scarcity is like we all come from a place of fear that we're not gonna deliver, we're not gonna like perform the way they were supposed to, we're not gonna foster our relationships the way that we should. And for me, what I learned is that like you need to give what you're lacking. So what I do and what I tell people is like if you feel like you're not getting recognition, then you should recognize other people. And if you're not like I know it sounds weird, but like if you don't have enough money, like donate money to organizations or charities, whatever it may be. And if you feel like you're not, if you feel like a friend of yours is not reaching out enough or extending themselves out enough, then be the person to reach out. So it's like if you continue to practice that as behavior, where like if you feel like something's missing, then you be that person or that extension, then it's really going to come back to you. And I think that sounds a little bit backwards, because you feel like, how is that going to help me? But it's just like volunteer work, or if you give your time, or if you have a conversation with someone, it's an investment in yourself as it is for the person that you're investing in. So I truly believe that, and that's something that I've tried to hold on to, is that like, if I feel like, somebody is acting weird towards me, then like I go out of my way to kind of help them. And so like that's kind of where I'm getting at. And so I think, obviously that's like my own personal experience. So I would never want to assume that like it's going to work for you, but that's something that's been successful for me. So if you've had similar experiences, like I'd love to hear about that. So that was the first part, is scarcity. And then the other part that sort of I think would be interesting to talk about is like my upbringing. So a lot of people, know me and know my name is Mohammed, and like, I'm obviously some sort of Middle Eastern. People usually can't figure that out, but I, come from like my parents come from Pakistan, and I'm first generation here, and a lot of people can understand or relate to being first generation, and I think for some people they have no context, because some of the things that I share with my friends, they're like can't even believe it's a thing. So I kind of wanted to share more about that and sort of what it was like growing up. And for me, a lot of what growing up was living in two different worlds. So I constantly felt like I was being raised a certain way at home, and then when I left to go to school, it was a completely different world, and it was kind of contradicted what I was learning at home. So it was two different worlds that I constantly had to struggle with. And I think my family would say that I definitely assimilated a lot more than they would have wanted in terms of like, gaining the acceptance of my friends and wanting to get really immersed in what it means to be American. Whereas a lot of people tend to hold on to their culture and their religion, and that's what they navigate with, and they're a lot more connected to that. Whereas I didn't take that route. And so my family, like, even though perceptively, like, I was doing all the right things, and I still feel this way, even though I'm doing all the right things, they sort of see me as a black sheep and me deviating from what they were raised with. So, my parents struggle because they feel like I'm taking a very alternative path, even though it's the American way. It's like you grow up and you want more for yourself, but it's so against like how they were raised. Like they literally grew up in a third world country and they didn't have many of the resources that we do here and the opportunities. And I just can't even imagine if my parents chose to stay back in Pakistan, like how different my life would be. And I think that's really interesting to kind of think about and like almost have such a deep sense of gratitude that they had that foresight to come here because they wanted more for me. But at the same time, then they struggle because it's like, I am an American and I definitely like adhere to the American way. And it's all about, like building yourself up and, living your dream. And that's so not the way that my parents were. It was just like, you make a living and you survive and you do the best you can. But that's not how I am at all. So it's like, it's very, very conflicting. And I think that, sometimes it is a struggle, but I think a lot of my life has been an education to my parents and like them trying their best. And I definitely do not hold anything against them. Like I'm so grateful for all that they've given me because I literally would not be the person I am today without them. So I do that. But a lot of the resources, like from an early age, I realized that I had to figure it out for myself. And there were so many wonderful people that helped me and have made me the person that I am. But if I didn't have those outlets, then I wouldn't have amounted to anything. And so I think, it's interesting to grow up in that world, and it's not something that people are used to, but that's what it's about. It's like sharing our different stories and how they align. But at the end of the day, we're all people and we want happiness and we want the best for ourselves and hopefully the best for other people. And that's what life's really about. And I think for me, we often, have conflicting thoughts, but I really try to focus on the ways that we're the same. And I think if we continue to go through that and like, work on like embracing each other as people and seeing where we align and how we're similar, I think it really bridges those gaps of those like, miscommunication. And I think for a lot of people, they have that fear of the unknown. And for me, it's not that. It's like, how can we connect as people and find common ground and build a relationship? So that goes without saying, like, those are things that are constantly filters of mine as I navigate my day, and maybe more cognizant of it than I realized, but, that's it. So that's it for now, and I will continue to update you as things go on, but thank you so much for watching. I truly, truly value, like, you even taking time out of your life to watch this. I mean, it's just me talking, but I really appreciate it. So more to come. Talk to you later.